Hello everybody, welcome to the Comic Game Movie Show. My name is Deshaun and today I am here to talk about the Sonic the Hedgehog 3 trailer introducing Keanu Reeves as Shadow the Hedgehog. Now, this movie franchise is insane because this franchise just started off so crazy. First, it started off with that god-awful design of Sonic. Everyone remembers when they put the first trailer out, and for the first time, almost the only time I can think of, at least in recent memory, people bullied the production team and the company into changing the design because we were just everybody just kind of unanimously was like, this looks terrifying. This looks scary as shit, and it just didn't look right, dude. It just like Sonic looked like some type of fucking feral animal that you'd see coming out of your dumpster or something. Like, it just didn't look right. And I saw what they were going for. We all kind of saw what they were going for. They were going for the idea of like, ooh, more realistic. Like, what would he really look like? Like, he would really look like this if he was real. His eyes would be smaller. But like, whatever they were thinking, it was awful. We all were like, we just want the Sonic the Hedgehog design. Just give us the design of the character. And it came out. They gave us what we wanted. They gave Sonic the exact design that he has from everything, from video games to animated shows. They gave him that exact design. Only thing they did was they made him a slightly more furry. Like, they kind of did that they basically did a Detective Pikachu. Because if you remember Detective Pikachu, how they got by making Pikachu look more real was just by making his fur look real. But the design of Pikachu was the exact same as it was from the anime and every other form you've seen him in. The difference is they just made his fur look more realistic, look more lifelike. And that's what they did with Sonic. They just made his fur look more lifelike, but he still has his entire, complete, white gloves and all Sonic design. So, it works. They got a great actor to voice him, who brought the energy that it takes to play Sonic. And I enjoyed the first Sonic movie. I didn't love the first Sonic movie. I liked it. I remember walking out of the theater, I believe I ended up giving the first Sonic movie like a 7 out of 10 or something like that. Because casting Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik was inspired, and it worked because he was just a ball of energy like I've never seen before. Like, it's been a while since you've seen Jim Carrey like that. Jim Carrey doesn't even do any movies, but him playing Robotnik is just, it's just fun. He's a just amazingly fun character. And between the accurate depiction of Sonic and Robotnik carried the first movie, because everything else, the human element was still mid-2000s, you know, because there was this time in the mid-2000s and early 10s where they were they kept trying to make these live action, like, animated movies where like you had like Yogi Bear, you had what else you had? You had a bunch of them. You had the Smurfs movie. You had a bunch of movies like that where they were trying to do this thing where they would have like this iconic / well-known animated cartoon character be in the real world, but he's still an animated character, but like made to make like it was always weird. They've always tried to do that for years and it never worked. And Sonic, the first Sonic, had a bit of that, but Sonic 2 was awesome. Because the thing about Sonic 2 that was great is they cut back on the human elements and they pushed more of the elements from the video games. There's more Dr. Robotnik. We introduced Knuckles, but not just Knuckles. Idris Elba voicing Knuckles, which now Idris Elba was so fun and played Knuckles so straight-laced and stupid like he is in every other depiction of him. Because let's face it, Knuckles he's a jock. He likes to fight. He likes to talk about how strong he is, but he's not the smartest man in the tool shed. Let's put it that way. He's not the smartest animal in the world. And they do such a great job at that. They introduce Knuckles. They introduce Tails. Granted, the introduction of Tails was kind of like out of nowhere. It was a little more hand-fisted than the Knuckles one. Like, the Tail introduction just kind of was like, Tails. Like, okay. Like, they introduced Tails at the end of the first Sonic movie, but still, it's just like, okay, he's here. But either way, They introduced Knuckles, they introduced Tails, we got more Dr. Robotnik, we got Dr. Robotnik doing more over-the-top, like, video game Dr. Robotnik things. I mean, yeah, Sonic 2 brought it all together. The only bad thing about Sonic 2 was, and it wasn't even all the humans, because the man, I always forget his name, the main lead human, played by what's it, Marston. Like, he's cool. I like him and Sonic's relationship. I even like his relationship with his wife. But some of the wedding stuff was a little stupid. Even I was like, that kind of held back the movie sequel for me. Like, I couldn't take that wedding shit. Like, I'm like, dude, like, we got all this great stuff going on with the Sonic characters and all this, and Dr. Robotnik, and you're bringing in this bullshit that, like, it literally was just there to make the wife seem useful. Because, let's face it, often in these movies, often in a lot of movies, the love interest, male or female, are kind of useless, so they gotta come up with a reason for them to be useful. They did the same thing in Venom, when they had to make that one dude who was a doctor useful, just to, yeah, when they had to make Venom's girlfriend, I can't remember her name, they had to make her useful. Like, and they did the same thing here. They just had to make the girl useful. But other than that, I love Sonic 2. Sonic 2 was a complete 360 for me. Because Sonic 1, I was like, I enjoyed it. It was a good video game. I thought it was a decent video game adaptation. This one, I was like, this is one of the best video game adaptations of anything I've ever seen live action. And for a short time, it was the highest grossing video game until Super Mario Brothers blew that bitch out the window. But anywho, so I was excited because they teased Shadow, and like we spent months, well I guess years, or a year or two, debating who is gonna voice Shadow. There's so many voice actors who are up for this, and we knew they were gonna get a recognizable voice because they got Idris Elba to voice Knuckles. So you gotta set the bar there. When you say you got Idris Elba to voice Knuckles, you're like, okay, well, you gotta get a name to voice Shadow, and none other than Keanu Reeves. This trailer was dope. First of all the things that Shadow does, from the teleportation to the riding the bikes to his origin story to, I mean, him just being this bad mother. When Shadow first burst on the scenes back in the day, and I grew up with this shit. I grew up with Sonic Hero. I grew up with Sonic, Sonic Adventures. I grew up with Sonic X on TV. I grew up with that shit. Gotta Go Fast. I grew up with all that shit. That's my childhood. So I remember Shadow's story. Also remember the Shadow the Hedgehog video game, which I still have, by the way. That's like, in that video game introduced so many concepts. Concepts that are in this trailer. Him riding the bike. Him no, I don't think he's gonna use guns and shit like he did in that. But yeah, Shadow the Hedgehog, the video game, like, you know, it's one of those games that should have been like insane. That's like the Bounty Hunter for the Star Wars games. How that game was supposed to be like this insane game, and then it was like actually just mild. Same thing with Shadow the Hedgehog. Only thing I'll give that game credit for is that it was one of the few games in the early years, you know, in 2000 and like fucking early 2000s and PlayStation 2 that had multiple endings. Back in the day, games didn't have multiple endings, but Shadow the Hedgehog had 3. So I give it credit for that. But anyways, like, just seeing that and like hearing Keanu Reeves' voice come out of Shadow's face, seeing how powerful they made Shadow. He even does the gliding thing, because Shadow runs just as fast as Sonic, but while Sonic is like running like strides, Shadow's boots, like he like skates on the air. Like Shadow, technically Shadow's not touching the ground. He's skating on the air really fucking fast. Like, it looks like he's skating. So that was dope. They even gave him rocket boots. I don't remember if he had rocket boots, but it's still dope to see. And like, to the point where like Shadow is so formidable that Sonic has to team up with Dr. Robotnik to fight him. And that's so fascinating. And I'm curious of how close they're gonna stick to the original story with Shadow. It seems like they're gonna stick pretty close. You definitely saw him in the tube and the girl putting her hand on the tube. Even going as far to have Robotnik's father come back, which we learned in the Sonic lore, Dr. Robotnik's father created Shadow. I believe he got like, I can't remember completely, but I believe he got like a hair from another hedgehog, because, spoiler alert, Sonic's not from Earth. Sonic's from another fucking world. But I believe somehow Dr. Robotnik's father got a hair and just like created Shadow from this single hair, or some bad shit, crazy shit like that. But yeah, Shadow's got a tragic backstory. If they stick to it, Shadow's gonna have a tragic ending too. Well, depending on if you count Shadow the Hedgehog, you know, Shadow self-sacrifices himself. But we'll see how this goes down. Shadow ends up becoming a good guy, so more than likely things are gonna work out. And because there's still a shit ton of Sonic characters. You got Mecha Sonic, you got Chaos. They still got more Sonic movies they can make. They still got more villains they can use. Like Sonic the Hedgehog is like, well, it's gonna end up looking very Fast and Furious by the next time Sonic 4 comes out. Now I don't know how much Sonic the Hedgehog's gonna make, but I think it's gonna make much more than a sequel. I don't know, because some people are talking like, is it gonna crack the $1 billion club? You know, obviously after, like, you know, people are up for these kind of movies. You just look at Super Mario Brothers, and Sonic the Hedgehog is that same exact demographic as the Super Mario Brothers. So it could, it honestly could, like honestly. But I'll tell you one thing. Watching this trailer, watching the fucking Sonic 2, it made me want to go back and play Sonic Adventures, man. It made me want to go back and re-download Sonic Adventures. It made me want to go back and find fucking Shadow the Hedgehog, man. I'm like, yo, man, the nostalgia's hitting hard. But anyways, thank you guys for watching the Comic Movie Show. Please leave a like and subscribe. And what did you think about that Sonic the Hedgehog 3 trailer? I fucking loved it. Thank you guys again. Please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.